Another reason Christian parents are unwilling to reconsider the corporal punishment of small children is underlying belief that children are subhuman. And this shows up in a variety of ways. Behavior toward children is tolerated that would not be tolerated toward adults, even in situations of authority. So for instance, an employer would never spank an employee. A pastor would never spank a congregant. A teacher would never spank an adult student. And we would say, societally, we would say those would maybe bring criminal charges, but we say that's inappropriate, that is humiliating, that's shameful, that's abusive. But because it's an adult to a child, we tolerate it. And I think that reveals that we believe children are not fully human in the same way adults are. So not only is it okay to do that, but it's not going to be humiliating for them. It's not going to be shameful for them. It's not going to be dehumanizing for them. Unexamined reasons. There's an idea that children are, because of their maturing cognitive abilities, that somehow it's okay to hit them. So you might hear people say, well, they won't understand a rational discussion about their behavior. But it really begs the question, well, if they can't understand a conversation about the behavior, will they understand why they're being hit then? And secondly, it raises the ethics of, do we hit people with what we perceive as impaired cognitive abilities? Do theological views play into this of how parents view children as subhuman? So whether that's they have original sin and total depravity, whether that's they are going to be, their behavior is going to be categorically defined by adults' definitions of sin according to nouthetic principles, as Ted Tripp does. So a child is acting like a hypocrite, or they're acting like a love addict, or something like this. Or in certain circles, this might be a child's perceived as being demon possessed or so defiant they have a spirit of rebellion. And these sort of categories enable much harm where an authority figure believes that not only is it right for them to use this method and God endorsed, but that the child in front of them is so wicked and evil and deserving of punishment that it really can escalate things to egregious levels. I mean, children have been killed by their parents and caregivers with these frameworks in operation. Parents who have a distorted anthropology of children, who have a distorted theological views, this also impairs capacity for empathy. So there won't be a consideration of what is this like for a child. That question will never be raised because the child is not perceived as fully human. They're other. You know, from all the egregious moments in history, when people are dehumanized, it empowers the people with power to treat them in horrible ways and in unexamined ways. And we ought to get serious about examining these underlying beliefs, because a lot of Christians, I think, justify the behavior in utilitarian ways and be like, well, it's just a swat. It's just a slap on the hand. Or like we've talked about before, that's always sliding. It's all subjective. There's no cap, so it will escalate. But even setting all that aside, there's no examination of the thought process that enables a person to say, well, it's okay to swat another human being into compliance. It's okay to slap them. It's okay to do this nonverbal, quick, humiliating way of communication to get them to do what I want. We don't tolerate that for all number of reasons in other communities. But Christian parents are some of the last holdouts to not only tolerating that toward other human beings, but encouraging it and saying it's somehow godly, it's somehow beneficial.